Welcome to the 2022 edition of the SORA Economic Forum. This year is a very special year. It's a year where our world is in absolute chaos, where there's a transition between unipolarity and multipolarity, and it will be very interesting to see how it plays out in the future. At the SORA Economic Forum, we try to make sense of the world around us and understand how economics can play a key role in the advancement of humanity. So we talk a lot about SORA, which is a decentralized world economic system aimed at high growth and sustainability. But it doesn't only have to apply to SORA. Everything we discuss today are very interesting and key ideas that are integral to the future of humanity. Because let's not kid ourselves. The world is in absolute chaos, and it's really going to take a lot of hard work and dedication to lift ourselves out of this as a species. So let's get to work, and I'll be opening today as the first speaker. So I'll be talking about SORA. The title of my talk is SORA Ab Chao, or From Chaos SORA. It's kind of a joke for those who understand, but it's meant to be purposely ironic, nothing secret society-based in it. But I'll be talking about this a little bit about how SORA developed and where we're going to go. And there's going to be a new proposal for fine-tuning the SORA tokenomics. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Makoto Takemiya, one of the contributors to SORA, and I'm also the CEO of Soramitsu. And I'll be talking today a little bit about the state of the SORA economy and how SORA can be improved to be more useful to the global economy. As a way of introduction, I don't really look Japanese, but I'm a naturalized Japanese. That's why I'm a Japanese citizen and have a Japanese name, but I don't look like it. I actually did grow up in California. And that's kind of a little bit about my story. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Soramitsu, so I founded the company in 2016, and I'm an engineer by background. I have a PhD in interdisciplinary information studies, which is a form of applied computer science, and I studied computer science for my undergrad, and I've just been an engineer for all these different years, and I got into blockchain in 2013, mainly through Bitcoin. So I found Bitcoin to be really interesting because you could send value to anyone anywhere in the world instantly, well, within 10 to 20 minutes, without any intermediaries in the way or any forms to fill out, just as easy as sending email. And to me, that was instantly, it's very clear that this is the future. This is really what the future of money is going to be. And ever since that time, I've been really interested in advancing the state of the art and improving on this, because Bitcoin is not very good. It's old technology. It's pretty poor usability. There's a lot of rough edges. It's not really a system that your mom or dad could use on a daily basis. And really creating that better system is really what has been really fascinating to me. And along the way, in 2014, I got into studying economics more. So I came across the work of Richard Werner and a documentary called Princes of the Yen, which is a really interesting documentary, and I highly recommend it. But after watching this, I really realized that a system like Bitcoin really has its limits. There's no monetary policy or no rational monetary policy in Bitcoin. And because of that, it wouldn't really improve the state of humanity. You wouldn't want to live in a world that was governed just by Bitcoin, because it would be, well, fairly deflationary. There would be no hope for the future. There would be no way to get financing in an easy way to build new things. The economy wouldn't grow. There would be no new goods and services. So that really helped me embark on my journey to kind of contribute to SORA and to find out, how can we create a better system? So along the way, my company has done many things. We created the Hyperledger Iroha blockchain, which is part of the Linux Foundation's Hyperledger Foundation. And this is open source, of course. And we use this for many enterprise systems, including working with the Central Bank of Cambodia. So we built the world's first CBDC using blockchain technology that launched with retail customers in Cambodia in 2019 with real money, and did a full launch in 2020. And it's really an exciting system, and I've talked about it in many previous talks, so I won't talk about it much today. But I do think a system like this can benefit humanity a lot, because it gives some of the properties that we love about digital currencies or cryptocurrencies more into the hands of normal people. So there's still safety net because it's a centrally managed system. So if somebody loses their keys or their phone or something, that they don't lose all their money. So that safety net is really important. And in the future, we're going to be exploring how can we build a safety net like that for SORA users. But that's not a topic for today's discussion. So we've actually won quite a lot of awards for our work on Bakhong. That's the CBDC in Cambodia, and including the FinTech RegTech Central Bank Digital Currency Partner of the Year in 2020, and the Japan Financial Innovation Award in 2021, and the Nikkei Asia Award was also awarded to the Bakhong system. So it's gotten pretty good reception, and it works very well. But this is not really the main topic of what I'll talk about today. It's more of just something to understand that the system like this exists, because many of the speakers today will be talking about CBDCs and their own research. So let's go and talk a little bit about the core topic today, which is going to be SORA. But before we get into that, let's go and look at really a little bit about the background of all this. So blockchain allows the creation of digital scarcity via a third-party accounting system based on decentralized consensus. And this opens up many new possibilities to verifiably own digital assets. So you can own some kind of digital data or asset. That's really quite an amazing property. And it's really one of the interesting things that intrigues me about blockchain. So Web 1.0, so-called, was really just reading a web page. So you have some kind of blog that you read. Web 2 would be reading and writing. So you could, go to Instagram and create your own content. And you're creating content, but you don't actually own the content. It's really just stored on a centralized system, which is fine for many use cases. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is, it's not really the same as owning the content from a mathematically provable standpoint. But Web3, because it uses blockchain as kind of like the third party between you and some other party, blockchain is creating a way to say that this type of data, this NFT or this token that you have, this is unique. This is something that you have and you own it. It actually is yours. You can't just copy the bytes like you would copy an image or a video. And so that opens up many new possibilities for humanity. So the first generation of cryptocurrencies was of course Bitcoin. And there's many clones of Bitcoin. People still talk about them for some reason, like, total trash, like Litecoin. What is that? But Bitcoin-style cryptocurrencies have the property that they're censorship resistant, and they use the blockchain, of course, to enable censorship resistance and to create digital scarcity. And Bitcoin is really a self-custodied value transfer network. So everyone has their own keys, and they're able to interact with the blockchain at will. Well, Bitcoin was fairly under-featured, so it has a simple scripting language, but it was never made to do anything really complex. But smart people started to realize by around 2014 that having more advanced features on top of a blockchain would generate new use cases for people building apps on top of these blockchain networks. And early examples, NXT, that allowed anyone to create their own tokens and exchange them via an on-chain DEX using order books. And this was back in 2014. This type of infrastructure led to many projects developing their own tokens on the NXT network. But this was really just simple token creation and some kind of order book token swapping. But it was quickly realized that having a truly programmable money, to really have money Legos, you need to have Turing-complete computation on the blockchain. So Ethereum launched in mid-2014, which provided a Turing-complete scripting language and memory storage for every account. And this created the age of dApps, or decentralized apps. Now, with the release of Ethereum, decentralized apps were created, which at first these were heavily centralized with off-chain servers. So different types of infrastructure were stored off-chain, and then just parts of it were executed on-chain because, of course, the high gas fees and complexity of making a decentralized app. But regulators quickly took note of this, and many dApps were heavily centralized, and they pursued legal actions against the teams that created the dApps. An example, of course, is Ether Delta, which had an off-chain order book and did order matching there, but then they executed the transactions, the actual swaps on-chain. And the regulators saw this and said, no, you're doing the trade matching. This is a regulated activity, and they went after them. So due to the regulatory pressure, dApp developers quickly created new ways to architect their apps, which removed all the centralized infrastructure and areas where censorship could possibly be applied. This enabled applications which historically would have been over-regulated and could not have been created, such as cryptocurrency exchanges, lending platforms, and decentralized stablecoins. So this was really the age of DeFi that was created. Now, DeFi has focused mainly on simple financial primitives and hasn't really focused to create a holistic financial or economic system up until now. Now, an economic system should not consist only of money, which is a unit of account, store of value, medium of exchange, but also means to allocate and control the quantities of money, because that's what drives real economies. By combining a blockchain-based currency with on-chain governance, money can actually be allocated rationally in an economy, and there's many possibilities for this. Up until now, people mainly focused on using blockchains for just payment networks. But mainstream and because of this, mainstream cryptocurrencies all ignore having a rational economic policy. Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example, mint new tokens and they give them to miners to basically waste electricity. Well, now of course Ethereum is the proof of stake, but that just is even worse. You're just minting tokens and giving it to rich people. What kind of monetary policy is that? So that's not a very good monetary policy. And if you study economics, you find that economic growth is defined as an expansion of output, written as Y. And the potential output in an economy, Y asterisk, is usually defined as this equation here, where it's a function of the quantity of factor inputs and the total factor productivity. Now, these are the potential QFI and TFP for both of these. So this is linked to money by the equation of exchange that shows that money times the velocity is equal to the price index times the quantity of transactions in the economy, which this can be proxied as looking at the nominal GDP or output, Y, multiplying by the basically the price level in the economy, and that has to equal the money stock times the velocity. So it's kind of a tautology, but this equation is very important because it shows a link between output and money. And this becomes fascinating through the quantity theory of disaggregated credit, also known as the general quantity theory of money or credit. And in this theory, the money used in equations or in transactions has to equal the value of all the market transactions. So this is not so interesting, but what becomes interesting is if you consider the types of money in an economy. So there's money used in real transactions, in real purchases of goods, in transfers of ownership of a real service or good. Another type of money could be financial speculation. So buying an existing house, buying some stocks, buying some bonds. These are transactions that don't involve any goods or services that have been newly created and are not part of economic growth. So if you look at the link between money creation and economic growth, you find that change in the money stock or purchasing power can be a way to increase the nominal GDP if you use the increase in money to build new goods and services. So basically, you can expand the monetary base and use it to expand the output in an economy too. That's called productive credit creation or productive allocation of money in an economy. On the other hand, you can create new purchasing power or create new money in an economy in simple terms, and you can use it to buy existing assets or to speculate on assets. And this doesn't cause any new output, so there's no nominal GDP growth, there's no economic growth per se. But it does expand the money stock. So to summarize this in very simple terms, there's three paths to create and allocate new money in an economy. Two of the paths are kind of bad because if you create new money to buy an existing asset or consume something, that leads to consumer price inflation. That's something that no one likes. In fact, this is a big problem in contemporary economies. If you create new purchasing power and you use it to buy assets and speculate on them, that creates inflation in the price of those assets and hence bubbles that pop, like real estate is a good example. On the other hand, if you create new purchasing power and you create new goods and services, that increases the size of the economy. And so the economy can absorb more money without any problem, and you don't have price inflation. In fact, if you're highly efficient, you can actually have deflation in the prices. So this is exactly what we're trying to do with SORA. We're trying to create a new economic system where everyone decides on how to create and allocate new tokens in the economy using on-chain governance that's completely decentralized and uncensorable. And the point of this is to create tokens in such a way that the tokens are allocated to create new goods and services for the SORA economy. An example would be a wine product that you could mint new tokens, create the wine, then sell the wine for ZOR. The amount of ZOR that you lock up in the transactions for the wine should be greater than the amount that was used to fund the initial wine creation, because obviously, why would you sell it at a loss? So that's just one example of how the SORA economy can work in the real world. Now, part of the magic of the SORA economy is the SORA token bonding curve. The token bonding curve is a smart contract built into the SORA network that has two functions, a buy price function and a sell price function. And these are just kind of linear lines that increase gradually as new ZOR tokens are integrated into the economy. And you can mint new ZOR by buying from the buy price function by putting in some reserve asset. An example of the reserve assets that we have today are ETH, DAI, VAL, and PSwap. So you can put these into the token bonding curve and get freshly minted ZOR. The converse is also true. You can take your ZOR and you can put it into the sell price function of the token bonding curve to take out one of the reserve assets. So you could sell ZOR to the token bonding curve and take out VAL, for instance. But that burns the ZOR, reducing the supply and also reducing the price, because the quantity of ZOR in circulation and the price are positively correlated in the token bonding curve. So the more ZOR, the higher the price, the less ZOR, the lower the price. And this allows the token bonding curve to adapt the price level and the supply elastically to the needs of the economy. So if the economy needs a certain price level for ZOR, then new ZOR can either be minted or burned to meet that price level. This is really great because it means that even entire nations could use ZOR as a legal tender, even today, even though the SORA market cap is very small. That's because the SORA supply will elastically expand or contract with the needs of that country. So that's really exciting, and this is one of the things I think all excites us about SORA. This does monetary policy in a completely autonomous way. So there's no hard forks needed in order to change the token supply like you would need with Ethereum or Bitcoin, for instance. And the way this integrates into the secondary market is that the primary market, which is the token bonding curve for ZOR, really provides support and resistance levels for the trading activity in the secondary market. So because the token bonding curve can allocate new ZOR to the economy, it provides upper resistance, whereas the reserves are used to burn ZOR, and that provides support. And because there's a margin between the buy price function, the sell price function of the token bonding curve, there's room for the secondary market to flourish, even when there's full reserves in the token bonding curve. Now, today we don't really have any significant reserves in the token bonding curve. We did at launch. In fact, the ZOR supply went from 350,000 to around 405,000. So around 55,000 new ZOR were minted by the token bonding curve and put into circulation in April and May of 2021. However, at the end of May 2021, the market suddenly went down, and because of that, all the reserves were basically lost. But it did burn quite a significant amount of ZOR. Around maybe 60 or 70,000 ZOR were burned, which means somebody dumped all that ZOR after the market went down. It wasn't me, so don't blame the team. People always like to blame the team, but the truth is that quite a lot of sell pressure was on the token ever since. Well, not just ours, but the entire market. Anyway, I digress. The token bonding curve allows trades to be done even without full reserves. So in PokerSwap, the token bonding curve has been integrated into the smart market algorithm, and so it automatically executes when the price goes into the price range of the buy and sell functions. And there's a 20% margin between the buy and sell functions of the token bonding curve. And if you don't have full reserves and you execute a trade into the sell price function, then the sell price function doesn't treat it like a linear line anymore. It treats it more like an XYK pool that has only this amount of reserves or tokens in it. And so you may not always get the price you want, but at least you will get some answer from the smart contract. And that's really important because it gives you clear and transparent guarantees about the state of the token price in the economy. And that's very important. Let's talk a little bit about the state of the SORA economy. So over the past, it's been a year and 3 months since we've done a SORA Economic Forum. And during that time, SORA's been doing a great job expanding the token supply to fund the creation of new features over the past year. Some of the features that were launched were the XST-USD synthetic stablecoin, Demeter Farm and Deo Arena. It's not here, but Noir, the sparkling wine. The multi-EVM trustless bridge, which is now on the test network and will open up many new EVM networks in a few short months to the SORA network. And we also got a Kusama parachain auction and set up the Kusama parachain, which is now building blocks, but it still has some work to do to fully integrate it into the SORA network via a bridge. And we've also created work on SORA Card, which is a debit card, MasterCard branded debit card that will let you use your ZOR tokens anywhere in the world. However, there is a time lag between the funding for creating new services and goods on the SORA network and actually having these goods and services come online. And this hurts the confidence in the SORA economy. This is what we have observed in the last year or so. And given that the token bonding curve is still under collateralized, this is a problem. And I'll talk about a solution in a few minutes, but let's continue with our State of the SORA Economy update. So one of the cool things that launched recently is Noir, which is the world's first digital wine. So it's a sparkling red wine, or sparkling rosé wine from California with Grenache grapes that you can buy using XOR, and you can buy only using XOR. And it's priced in a liquidity pool in PokerSwap. So it's kind of like Unisocks, if you're familiar with Unisocks. So every bottle goes up in price incrementally and goes down in price incrementally, depending on whether it's bought or sold into the liquidity pool. So this provides a great mechanism for price discovery on the market. And yeah, it's really quite exciting. Out of 777 original bottles, there's less than 200 left. So it's been quite successful. Another thing that we've done over the past year is we've worked hard on building the foundation to integrate the SORA network into Fearless Wallet and also PokerSwap too. So this is not yet completed, but will be done in a few short months. And especially once the SORA network goes to Substrate 4, Fearless Wallet will support our network finally. Another really exciting initiative is SORA Card and also integrated IBAN, which is a European bank account. So this really is quite revolutionary because it allows self-custodial wallet to interface with the MasterCard network. Of course, you have to do KYC and onboard with the SORA Card provider in order to get a credit card, because that's just how things work. But the cool thing is once you're in XOR land, you can do whatever you want because it is a blockchain network and no one can stop you. No one can stop you from making mistakes too, so be careful and don't feed the scammers. But also, you'll be able to get an IBAN number, so you can send a bank transfer directly to your IBAN and then get the money that you can then swap to XOR and use on PokerSwap within a few minutes even. So it should be quite exciting. Imagine a Revolut-style interface, but cooler design, integrated directly into SORA Wallet and PokerSwap. And you can see here these mock-ups of how this is being developed right now. In fact, we're very, very close to launching this. So thanks to the SORA community for funding this initiative. And the onboarding of registrations should start, I think, next month. And then people should get their physical cards at the end of the year. So it's really, really close. And the cool thing is that through our SORA Kusama parachain and the bridge from the SORA Kusama parachain to the SORA network, you'll be able to use any .sama token with the card when we're done. So this is going to open up brand new possibilities and make it easy to get in and out of the .sama ecosystem to fiat. So it's going to start out in the Eurozone, but it will later be expanded to British pound, US dollar, and other fiat currencies in the future. Over the past few months, we've also put a big emphasis on trying to make a case for countries to use XOR as a legal tender. So we made a public proposal to the people of Sri Lanka in June, where we wrote an open letter and translated it into Sinhala and Tamil, and we published this in all the major newspapers in the country. So this is something that I care deeply about, because it is, we don't build this technology for the sake of the technology. We build it to actually help people and to meet real needs that they have. And through the use of the token bonding curve and elasticity of monetary policy, I think that SORA can really help people all over the world. In fact, we specifically designed it to be the new world's economic system after the current system goes away. So hopefully we can continue to make some progress. In fact, we're in talks with several other countries, and we'll let you know once things once things are decided. And finally, even though it's a small detail and it's actually not new because it's something that was launched before, we do have this beautiful SORA typeface that was funded by the SORA community, and it's been accepted into Google Fonts. So if you like the design that you've seen today, please go and download it and start using it. Okay, let's go into some network stats. So here's data from the network launch showing the daily transfer amount in XOR per day. And you can see that it's hovering around between 50 and 100K XOR per day since launch to about now, though there were some changes over time. But you can see that, there was some really large XOR transfer amounts in mid-July and mid-August. So these are corresponding with high volatility and high market activity during these times. And here's some daily transaction counts. You can see that there's a huge spike of more than 1 million transactions a day. That was when we did some on-chain load testing of our network. And in fact, we are able to benchmark that our network can likely handle 25 million transactions in a day without any problems, which is really great for a fully decentralized network. We're not, centralized in like Solana or something. So it's there's servers all over the world, and anyone can start a server. So this is quite a very good result. When we started, we got a few thousand transactions per day about a year ago, and then as you can see, it's kind of dropped off. We got around 300 transactions per day in the last few days, but that's partly because the hash rate bridge is down because of the Ethereum hard fork. So before the hard fork, we were getting around 1,000 transactions per day. And you can see daily active and new accounts. There's a big spike again. Sorry for the load testing. That's when we did that. But about a year ago, we were getting around 500 active accounts per day and 100 plus new accounts per day. Right now, these numbers are quite small. So you can see it's only like basically almost nothing. So it's very, very low. And this is not a great number, but you can also explain a lot of this just by the fact that the crypto market is in a depression, and users are, of course, down at this time. On the other hand, the amount of XOR that is being burned and collected and burned in fees is going up. So you can see that a year ago, we had about 1.9 XOR burned in a day, and now that's 59 XOR. So even though we have much less users and much less transactions, we're burning a lot more XOR in fees. And part of this is because, as you can see, the sudden increase in like end of July, early August, there was a large increase in fees where we increased the amount of fees on the network 100-fold. And also because a year ago there was no farming platform, and now there's a Demeter farm, so that also contributes to higher fees collected. Now let's talk about a little juicy topic. So the XOR supply. So here's a graph that shows from the days since launch the XOR supply and the XST-USD stablecoin supply. XST-USD started out at 0, of course, because it wasn't launched until about 200 days after the launch. And you can see that the XOR supply stayed pretty stable for about a year at a little bit under 500,000 XOR, and then suddenly increased from 500,000 to 1.5 million. So there's several factors that explains this. So of course there was the Luna crash in May, which really hurt our ecosystem and every other ecosystem, unfortunately, quite a lot. And then in July, XST-USD became depegged. That was by design. So the stablecoin is made to have a floor price of redeemability. So if XOR goes under that price, you can't redeem the full amount. But the converse of that is no one wants to hold XSTUSD. So you can see these huge drop-offs in XSTUSD supply, where it went from like 2.7 million down to like 1.7 million. So in about a day. And that was, of course, converted into ZOR, which gave this big increase at around July 15th, which was like around 420 days since launch. So, this is not really a great situation. It's, there's not much we can do just because the market is pretty bad. And so we had to accept a little bit of an increase in the ZOR token supply. But it seems like this is not really a long-term solution. And so it gives us a unique opportunity to think about our tokenomics and to fine-tune them a little bit. So based on the results of our analysis, two improvements are what I want to propose today. The first being, let's stop minting any ZOR via governance, like permanently, not just temporarily. And the second being, let's remove XSTUSD from being linked to ZOR and create a new token for synthetic assets. Let's call that XST. So a little bit of an explanation. So given the macroeconomic sentiment just in the world at large and fear regarding high consumer price inflation that countries around the world are experiencing, which of course are caused by central bank policies of allowing and encouraging credit creation for speculative asset purchases and consumption of products, as well as, airdropping money to people, which is insane. So to create confidence in the ZOR monetary base, it is required to remove the policy option of minting new ZOR via on-chain governance. And so this is one of the proposals I want to make today. The other is that, unfortunately, because of the Luna scam fiasco, having a synthetic asset like XSTUSD linked to ZOR also hurts confidence in the ZOR economy. So it's important to remove this as a source of fear, uncertainty, and dread. So synthetic assets have a very good purpose for humanity. They're uncensorable, completely on-chain, they have on-chain collateral. And this is really important. But Luna kind of didn't work out so well. It didn't work out well because they minted too much for staking rewards, 20% per year, just to hold the asset. And this had no monetary base, so no backing, right? So it was a huge dilution of the purchasing power. And then they didn't have any floor price of redeemability like we do in XSTUSD. So that hyperinflated the Luna supply. Finally, it was purposely attacked by people who had billions of dollars and who wanted it to go down. So it was kind of like a combination of different factors that were poor governance and poor monetary policy that led to the Luna fiasco. While XSTUSD does not have these problems, still we want to remove this source of doubt in the ZOR economy. So by doing these two changes, the implication is that all newly created ZOR will only come from the token bonding curve. This provides a confident foundation for ZOR as a new global monetary system and gives greater credence to our proposals to countries to use ZOR as a legal tender. So as part of this proposal, we want to propose to make a new SORA synthetic platform. Let's call it XST. So up until now, XSTUSD has been the only synthetic token on the SORA network. It's pegged to an index, which is the ZOR DAI price. In preparation for adding new assets via an oracle, so just to step back a moment, over the last few weeks, we've been talking to an oracle provider about providing their data feeds into the SORA network. And when this is done, we'll be able to open up at least 12 new assets in very short order. Of course, the community will have to decide what assets and they'll have to vote for them, but it will become a possibility. And in preparation for this, it makes sense to make this change where instead of minting and burning these assets for ZOR, we do it for XST, which is a new token. So we have a specific purpose-built synthetic platform. And I think that's going to give us a lot more flexibility too, because then the community can create new types of assets. So for example, like a gold pegged asset or a silver pegged asset. Things that you wouldn't want to do with the SORA as the backing, you can do with XST. So it gives you brand new freedom. So this is one of the proposals. Now you may be wondering, how do we grow the economy? So remember, I was talking just a few minutes ago about how you have to expand the monetary base. You have to expand the purchasing power to have new output. That's how you grow an economy and have nominal GDP growth. So there's two ways. The first being the token bonding curve. So this is unchanged. As before, 9% of the buys into the token bonding curve go into a fund, and this is used to fund projects. Since we are not currently at the token bonding curve price, what we can do is we can mint XST, which is this new token, and use it like we used it with SORA and give it to fund projects. So we keep getting the new things that we want, things like SORA card, things like digital wine. So we have to fund these operations if we want to have them. That's how we stay competitive and stay as the top tier project. So, however, to prevent reducing the purchasing power of XST for liquidity providers of the SORA XST LP and PokerSwap, when new XST are minted by expanding the treasury via governance, the additional XST will also be minted and given to the SORA XST LP providers, so liquidity providers, so that they do not get diluted. So if you have, like, for example, 6% of the XST token supply in LP at the time of dispatch of a new mint, then you will get newly minted XST tokens to make sure that you keep your 6% share of the XST supply. Additionally, 1% of the new mintage will also be over-minted and distributed proportionally to overcompensate these or XST LPs. So this is the proposal for the XST tokenomics, and there's an article that's being published, well, right now, actually, on Medium, and you can read all the details there. And there will be specific steps that the community has to build and to vote on via governance. This is just a proposal today. So another part of the proposal is to make XST one of the reserve assets of the token bonding curve. So joining ETH, DAI, VAL, and PSwap. And to also change the fact that right now in the token bonding curve, 0.5% of the buys into the token bonding curve go to the developers. And we would propose to change this to buyback and burn XST instead. And as you can see, 9% of the buys into the token bonding curve are still available for funding, though this is kind of a moot point currently because the token bonding curve is not currently activated. It's too high of a price and there's not enough reserves. But another part of the proposal is to lower the token bonding curve price so that it will be $600, and that should make it easier to get reserves in the future. So there's also implications of the XST model for countries that want to use SORA or use SORA as a legal tender. So if a country adopts SORA as legal tender, they can get funding in XST tokens to build some of their infrastructure and fund the production of new goods and services. Additionally, countries can also mint their own tokens that are linked to the value of domestic assets like gold or diamonds or oil, and that can be added to the token bonding curve as a reserve asset. In other words, a new type of sovereign wealth fund can be created. And this opens up many new exciting possibilities. So any country can create a sovereign wealth fund for future generations. And they can do this on the SORA network by creating a new token with a fixed supply, locking this in series so that it becomes unlocked at 1% per year. They can provide some nominal amount of liquidity in PokerSwap with the new token, and they can pass a referendum to add their new token as a reserve asset to the token bonding curve. And then they can use a portion of tax revenues from the specific asset of the country, like oil sales or gold mining, to buy back and burn their token that's reducing the supply and building up value for future generations. And this model could last 100 years, for example. So a sovereign wealth fund can tie into the greater SORA economy by becoming a reserve asset of the token bonding curve. This is a win for countries because they can get guarantees of SORA liquidity for their sovereign wealth fund, and it is a win for the SORA economy because the SORA protocol will own part of the sovereign wealth fund as a protocol-owned liquidity via the token bonding curve. So this is a really exciting initiative, and I hope we can convince some countries to do it. So please go out and convince some people. So let's wrap up a little bit with a monetary system comparison. So just to kind of tie in the different ideas that we explained today. There's, of course, fiat money, Bitcoin, and SORA. And each of them have different layers. So there's the architecture where fiat money is, kind of like a, hub and spoke model that's very centralized. Bitcoin is peer-to-peer and SORA is also peer-to-peer. For the transaction system of fiat money, for RTGS systems, SWIFT, other types of messaging systems are at play. Typically, these are messaging systems and not value transfer networks. So fiat money is based on messaging and changing the liabilities that people have rather than actually moving money around. Whereas Bitcoin is actually a peer-to-peer value transfer network. And so is, of course, SORA, using mini blockchains like Substrate and Ethereum, and in the future, other chains as well. One token mini chains. For the unit of value, fiat money, of course, is some embedded unit of value or unit of account that, like US dollar. Bitcoin is embedded into the network and is the unit of value there. And SORA, we have ZOR, but we also have mini tokens that are available on the network, and people can move around and the market can decide what they want to use. And the token bonding curve can combine these mini tokens into the SORA economy through reserve assets. So that's quite exciting. In fact, ETH is a reserve asset of the SORA economy, so it's actually part of our economy. For monetary policy, fiat money, of course, has credit creation, has no fixed supply. Some central banks do, more interesting credit guidance, but not all of them do. For Bitcoin, it's a pre-programmed fixed supply with a hard cap that can only be changed by hard forking the network. So it's not that it can't be changed, it's just that it's a little bit hard to change. And SORA has a token bonding curve with elastic supply. And the hard cap can be adjusted, or the supply can be adjusted without forking, because the token bonding curve can mint and burn tokens. For fiat money, central bank conducts monetary policy and has political independence usually. In fact, in many countries, it's a private corporation. For Bitcoin, monetary policy has to adapt to the fixed supply. So the price level of Bitcoin has to adapt to its fixed supply, which gives very high volatility and unpredictability. And ZOR, the supply of the money adjusts to the price level. So this gives predictability and makes it really perfect for countries to adopt as legal tender, especially now that ZOR will only be managed by the token bonding curve if the proposal is accepted. For the issuance of fiat money, typically it's done by credit creation. In fact, 98% of fiat money in circulation is credit. In Bitcoin, it's done by mining, of course, and in ZOR, it's done by token issuance via the token bonding curve. For the injection rate and frequency, fiat money is governed, as you'll see more in Borja's talk later today, by the demand and supply of bank loans, bounded by the Basel requirements. So they do have some limits, at least in some countries. For Bitcoin, you get predictable issuance per block, and in ZOR, you get issuance rate that's observable and predictable by globally accessible data because it's linked to the token bonding curve. You can see what the current price level of the primary and secondary markets are, and you can know exactly when new issuance will occur with high reliability. And it's completely autonomous and transparent monetary policy. And for the exchange rate, fiat money, of course, is a floating system. Bitcoin is floating, and ZOR is also floating, but it's bounded by the token bonding curve, token bonding curve's buy and sell curves. Now, there is a new global monetary system that was recently proposed by the Bank for International Settlements. In fact, one of the authors on this proposal, John Frost, was invited to speak here at the SORA Economic Forum, but unfortunately he was just transferred to a new position and is too busy working in a new country now. But here in the BIS proposal, as you can see here, they propose that central banks create a central bank digital currency that is used for wholesale, and via connection with APIs, private sector payment service providers then are able to make different types of payments. So this is quite a complicated image. So you can see here that central banks create, of course, their money stock. They provide an API access to it. And one of the APIs goes to wholesale CBDC, which is then transferable cross-border. But it also ties into the greater financial system in other ways. So it can tie in with cash. It can tie in with credit cards. There's autonomous wallets, smart contracts. The idea that you can take central bank money, but you can digitize it and you can treat it kind of like a token almost. And you can make a smart and programmable money that can then be used in computer programs. That's really a very fascinating image. Now, we're very far from this today in many ways. It's hard to really foresee too much openness in central banks creating digital accounts today. But for wholesale settlement, cross-border linkages between central banks and other security settlements like RTGS, CSD, cross-border linkages, these are quite hot topics of research. In fact, there's a proof of concept study that is being done right now involving us and R3, Fujitsu, and Consensus working with the Asian Development Bank. So we can't talk about the details, but it is a CSD RTGS cross-border linkage prototype. So it's quite interesting that central banks are looking at doing almost like copying some of the ideas that we have in DeFi. In fact, if we were to kind of overlay how this works in the SORA world, you can see kind of our version of this proposed new global monetary system, where each country can create their own token that is backed by the value of their of some resource in the country. For example, this sovereign wealth fund idea, where you take part of the cash flow of taxation of gold mining and you put it into a token, and then that's put into the token bonding curve, and then ZOR can be minted from that. So ZOR here becomes the kind of the cross-border linkage between different countries. Whereas in the BIS figure, it was wholesale CBDC. And here we have the SORA network, of course, and instead of having autonomous wallets, we have anonymous wallets. So the whole point is that you give people direct access and control over their own assets, because property rights are a basic human right. And then you've got farming here instead of tokenized deposits, and you've got what I put here, ZOR convertible coins instead of cash. So the idea is that if a country were to use ZOR as a legal tender, you can mint like a token, a physical token that can be used for offline payments, but is backed by ZOR. What that means is, there'd be in a country, there's a trusted party. So the trusted party would, under the supervision of the SORA community, be able to burn and then to mint the ZOR, the same value of the token, or lock it and unlock if you prefer that terminology. So that's just one idea out of many. But you can see that many smart people are working on creating a better financial system that will hopefully serve humanity in a better way. So to summarize, I'll just kind of end on this quick slide. That's a comparison of ZOR and e-money, whereas e-money, which is a deferred settlement system, typically you when you make a payment with it, you don't actually make the payment. You make a payment instruction that is then given to a payment processor, and a store that receives your payment with e-money may not actually get like a settlement in cash or or money in their account for even a couple of weeks, depending on the jurisdiction. So some countries are faster than others, but in Japan it can easily be 2 to 4 weeks. Whereas in SORA, it's a real-time payment system. So if you exchange your cash for ZOR, you get your ZOR and you make the payment, the person has their ZOR instantly. So this newer model of instant payments and actual value transfer instead of just updating ledger balances of debt instruments is a new concept, and it's really something that I think the world can benefit a lot from. So I didn't talk a lot about some of the more philosophical elements today. There's a lot to cover and not so much time. I'm already, I think, over time. So I'll just conclude by saying the purpose of SORA is really to create a new world monetary system. And, we're trying to take ideas from traditional finance and research and apply this in reality. And, not everything is always smooth or easy. It takes lots of hard work. And over the last year, we've analyzed our network use, and we figured out a way to potentially optimize the tokenomics of SORA. Let us know in Telegram what you think about it. So I thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take a couple questions now for Q&A. We have 2 questions that are kind of interesting. So one is from the community. They asked, what is the response from Sri Lanka up to date? So we published this letter in all the major newspapers in the country. So we, through some contacts we were able to contact, the president and his cabinet. And, it's hard to explain a lot of these ideas, but we're still following up with them and trying to arrange some in-person meetings. Besides that, we've been going through some of the contacts that we have in Japan with various trade associations working with Sri Lanka. So we do hope, we have some possibilities to meet some of the members of the government. We're just trying to arrange the meetings now because our schedules are also busy, and we do have to go talk to the government of another country. That's also quite high priority. And then another question is, when will the community be able to vote for these new tokenomics? So I think it depends really on the council, but today we want to start voting on the token bonding curve price change, and then also probably create the new XST token by registering the asset via governance today too. And then what we want to do, and it's explained in the article, I didn't talk about it so much in my talk, but we want to create some initial supply of the XST token and give it to the series team to do for the Demeter farming account, so that you can farm with ZOR DAI and ZOR ETH liquidity on Demeter farm.
happens, will you ever know what you've got? Whatever happens, live your life as you want, never give up. Whatever happens, will you ever know what you've got? Whatever happens with you, 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 with you. Love is wonderful. Never give up. Whatever happens, will you ever know what you got? Whatever happens, live your life as you want. Never give up. Whatever happens, will you ever know what you got? Whatever happens with you.
Designed in the Polkadot spirit of interoperability, SORA Card is the crypto card for people who value privacy and freedom. Launching this year, you will have premium fiat access to your favorite parachain tokens, all through SORA Card. SORA Card is a unique, decentralized, crypto-based debit card that allows you to buy, sell, spend, earn, and manage your crypto and fiat all in one place. Experience full ownership over your finances with the highest privacy and security standards. SORA Card is easy to use and aiming to provide the premium fiat gateway for the Polkadot ecosystem. Learn more today at soracard.com.
PokeSwap liquidity providers are now able to earn triple rewards for select pairs in conjunction with the Series Demeter farming platform. Users who add XOR DAI or XOR ETH liquidity pools are now able to farm in 2 XOR DAI or XOR ETH Demeter farming pools using the same LP. In one pool, they will receive Demeter's DEO token, and in the second pool, they will receive XSTUSD on top of the PSwap LP rewards they normally receive. Enjoy farming with style and freedom. We're happy to announce a new Fearless Wallet functionality, collator staking on the Moonbeam and Moonriver parachains. Delegators will now be able to easily start staking their assets and select an algorithmically suggested or manually picked collator. You will begin to receive rewards in your account after 2 rounds, which is 12 to 18 hours for Moonbeam and 4 to 6 hours for Moonriver. Users can increase their stake at any time, as long as it is done with another collator. They can also withdraw their tokens or restake them with ease, as unstaking periods are 7 days for Moonbeam and 2 days for Moonriver. Reward analytics are available for iOS users. This is a simple and clear way to track your rewards during different time intervals. Get the latest updates for your wallet on the Apple App Store and Google Play. And stay fearless.